So a few days ago, we summoned for Chasca and got a couple constellations for her. So I thought I'd do an updated God mode. Since it has been a minute, we should start with a small refresher for Chasca. She's an Anemo main DPS that takes your team's elements and converts her Anemo bullets into those elements. But this conversion only works with Hydro, Pyro, Electro, or Cryo teammates. She then fires those bullets in rapid succession, dealing damage and causing reactions based on the elements of the bullets. Bullet conversion is 1-to-1 with your team. If you have 2 Cryos and a Pyro, you'll get 2 Cryo bullets and 1 Pyro, though the order is random. Her passive allows the possibility of a 4th conversion. Chance relies on team composition, maxing out at 100% if your team is purely those 4 main elements and they're all unique. In the earlier example of 2 Cryos and a Pyro, there's only a 67% chance you get an extra conversion. Replacing one of the Cryos with a Hydro, for example, brings it up to 100%. And if it wasn't clear, converting bullets is very important as it makes their damage much higher. At C0, where she's currently at, she's very focused on single target DPS, which isn't really a bad thing. Most of the hardest content is single target, but C2 will add some AoE. Also, as a side note, she is one of the best exploration characters with her flying ability, and C1 further buffs that, so we'll compare this as well. In terms of build, obviously as a Natlan DPS, Codex is her best set by far. Hunter set, if you'll always have Farina with her, is fine, but still worse than Codex. We are going attack crit for main stats on artifacts, since most of her damage is in fact not Anemo damage, so no Anemo damage goblet. As this is God mode, we'll give her signature weapon, but a recent-ish banner weapon, Flower Wreathed Feathers, is a super good 4-star option for her if you happen to have it. Here's her stats. We're at about 2500 attack, 182 EM, which is more or less important depending on team. I've mostly used Chasca in a Vaporize team with like Bennett and Farina, so it's more important there, but it should never be a huge focus. Attack and the crit stats are going to be way more important. Here's that. She's at 100.8 crit rate with Codex, 220 crit damage, you know, could be a little higher. The one thing we might be lacking is energy recharge, but I would consider that almost personal preference. Her burst can do solid damage, but it's still a much smaller part versus her charge attacks, so I'm fine with bursting every other rotation, thus I didn't focus on that stat too much. And sure, since we have the materials to do so, we are going to crown her skill, which is like the most important thing. We are going to leave her burst at 8 though. But alright, before getting some constellations, let's do a couple battles so we have something to compare to. The problem is, with these comparisons, I like to have the same team all the way through, so it's less about different teammates' buffs changing the damage and more about the character we're showcasing. In Chasca's case, that's going to be nearly impossible, as her team options change as we go from C0 to C2. The one exception to this rule, in my opinion, is Xilonen. We'll talk about it in a minute, okay? My Xilonen is C2, which helps the argument, but not as much as it first seems. These buffs only go to the characters matching the elements, so even though Chasca is dealing all sorts of these elemental damages here, she's still an Anemo, which gets no buff. The other teammates and their damage will, of course, benefit though. Think Farina, 45% max HP goes a long way. Right here in 5.8, this is probably one of Chasca's best C0 teams, but as we have Chasca constellations, I wouldn't call it her best team anymore. A big part of her constellations is getting that team flexibility while still maxing out her passive. Anyway, going with Xilonen means we're definitely losing 1 bullet conversion and a 33% chance to lose another one. We'll also lose even more damage from this same passive bullet trick down here. I'll explain more as we go, but it's just something to keep in mind. For the other 2 teammates, I always used Bennett and Farina, so it would be fitting to keep them. After my mental breakdown trying to find a good test dummy, a few people in my Discord did reach out and tell me about some other potential options. It does have increased cryo res, but that shouldn't matter to us. Can we just activate it? Yes, we can. Cool. This is my first time fighting this guy, so he does have some mechanics that really shouldn't impact like comparisons too much. We might do more or less damage. It doesn't really matter. In this team, because of Chasca's other passive, we can actually start with Xilonen to get Cinder City for one of the elements and then swap back to her after Benny to get the other. But here we are. We're up with Chasca already blasting. Apparently he has 9.5 million HP, so it's not really surprising. It didn't look that impressive. And yeah, not having Benny's burst, of course, hurt as well. Usually after the first rotation, things get a lot more wacky, so I'm just kind of playing it by ear now. Let's hop back up with Chasca and start blasting. You can see we are sometimes only getting 2 bullets, but sometimes 3 with that 67% chance there. So he's already like half dead. I'm also just kind of doing her burst whenever. Again, I didn't really build for it, but you know, we got through it. She is still currently C0. Damage comparisons, of course, are going to be a little hard, but I will try my best here. We're probably gonna have to slow it down a lot, like frame by frame, to try and pick out some numbers to compare to. But yeah, shout out to Sinclair on the Discord. This guy seems actually pretty decent. He has like a big area attack that does a lot of damage, I guess 60% HP, but probably the most promising boss so far. I do want to have at least one proper full rotation to compare to, so we're gonna do it once more. Okay, boom. Do the two normals, go to burst, Go ahead and get Farina and Burst, Binny, E, and Burst, and then we're going back to Xilonen, boom, boom, and then we go up with Chasca. Burst before or after. Honestly, we might just ignore Burst. Both constellations don't really impact that as far as I'm aware, so... Okay, so that was like a good proper rotation. We can end it with Burst. You know, it won't have all the buffs and everything, but it's fine. So C1 point blank gives us an additional conversion. In addition, we only need 2 unique Hydro Pyro Electro Cryos to max out the conversion chance on them. That means we are now guaranteed to convert 4 bullets versus C0's 2 with a 67% chance of a third. Still, we could have 5, and that 1 bullet we're missing for having Xilonen is unfortunately kind of important. More on that later. And then yeah, we can just hop up with Chasca. I'm honestly not noticing like a massive difference in the dude's health bar, maybe a bit. Well, looking at the actual numbers shouldn't tell us too much. The bullets aren't doing more damage, there's just more conversions, so we'll see Vaporize more often. The closest I found to even somewhat accurately compare her damage increase is to take a screenshot directly after the first full rotation. Here's the boss's HP bar. It should go without saying that the top one is C1 and the bottom one is C0. It might not seem like much, but the boss does have seriously high HP, so it is a decent jump. But alright, we have to talk about that missing conversion from having Xilonen. Why it's more important is because of... internal cooldown. It's one of those scary advanced mechanics, but while editing this video, I did happen to notice something and it drove me to look deeper into it. I was already aware that Chasca only applies elements with half of her bullets due to internal cooldown, which means this one, and this one actually apply elements, right? Well, no, actually. Her converted bullets do not share ICD with her Anemo bullets. I made a little graphic here that helps demonstrate it. In our case, it's only the 6th, 4th, and 3rd bullet that apply their element. And since one of those 3 are always that pesky Anemo bullet, it hurts more than just having one less bullet. Granted, this doesn't change much for us. Even if they shared ICD, we'd still only get 2 Hydro or Pyro element applications versus 3 with another HPEC unit. The thing I wanted to point out more is the position of the Xilonen bullet, and the fact we can't change it. For an in-game example, I have this clip versus the guy we were just fighting. If you want to guess what will happen on this shot, feel free to pause and guess in the comments. So the first bullet that will fire is the last one we loaded, this Hydro bullet. The enemy already had Hydro on him, so no reactions will happen. The next bullet is Pyro, but due to internal cooldown, no reactions will happen. Next, Anemo. It will swirl, dealing 2200 Hydro damage, but won't remove the Hydro aura thankfully, since swirl itself doesn't remove much aura. Next is another Pyro bullet. Since the last converted bullet didn't apply element, this one will, and we get a Vaporize. The next bullet is also Pyro. No reaction due to ICD, but also because we removed the Hydro aura with the first Vaporize. And the final Anemo bullet doesn't swirl either, since its internal cooldown is just 1.5 seconds with no hit trigger, unlike the converted bullets. So what does that all mean? Well, Xilonen is still an incredible support, and even with this information, I'd still use her, at least at C2. But it would be worth comparing to just another HPEC unit before we go to C2. We'll go with the typical second Pyro, Xiangling. At C1, even with double Pyro, the bullets are still guaranteed to convert, and we'll get Pyro Resonance, aka 25% attack. Here's the HP bars. C0 on top, C1 with Xilonen in the middle, and then C1 with Xiangling below that. The difference is pretty small, but Xiangling does take it, actually. But alright, before moving on to C2, let's check out the exploration difference. We have a side-by-side here, C0 on the left, C1 on the right. Honestly, it wasn't as big of a difference as I hoped. Here we are outside of Natlin. It's definitely noticeable, you know, she is flying for a couple seconds longer. I definitely wouldn't get C1 specifically for the extra flight time, but you could consider it a nice bonus. And yeah, it's still pretty sad when it comes to sprinting. You do get a few more meters, I guess, but there's that side by side. I guess the fact she also consumes less phlogiston in Natlin helps in Natlin, but that's just in Natlin, so meh. Yeah, I can definitely notice it though. We are sprinting here for a long time. And here we go, it's C2 time. Basically, the other part of Bullet Trick here, which we didn't talk about too much until now, will be complete, even with Xilonen in our team giving us that extra 30% damage there. We'll also get an extra 400% multiplier here every time we do an attack, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. But okay, here we go, C2 time. First, C2 rotation, E boom boom, E and burst, Bin Boy, E burst. Then we're gonna head back to Xilonen in a second here. Go ahead and do that. I don't know if that ever actually triggers the second Cinder City, to be honest. But here we go anyway. So, maybe there's like the 400 there, somewhere in there. But yeah, I mean, the damage difference is completely obvious after that first rotation. We never do burst in either case, but he's almost at half HP. C2 actually did way more than C1. Of course, we will compare the health bars again. You'll probably see that on screen right now. I cannot currently see it, but just looking at his health bar up there after the first rotation, It seems very, very clear. But all right, let's get Xiangling in there. Finally at C2, we can have 2 of the same element units and not miss anything from Chasca's passive. And here we go with that team. For what it's worth, the rotation is a bit simpler, which also means a little faster. So maybe just like more time with the buffs as well. Not too sure, but anyway, we're just gonna go up now and start blasting. It's really hard to tell when it comes to this team. Like, initially it feels like it's doing more damage and then it like tapers off a bit. It looks almost exactly the same, maybe a little more actually. It's so close though. Here are the health bars again. This is just C2 now. Xilonen versus Xiangling. Since we're not doing burst, it might be slightly biased, but ever so slightly. But I mean, yeah, Xilonen is also an extra source of healing, and in a free team, that's pretty good when we only have Binny as our healer. So personally, even after our weird nerd discussion, I would still go Xilonen. I mean, sure, just for fun, we'll have our C6 Mavuika in there instead of Xiangling, and we'll see if that changes anything. I would assume so, but we'll see. Oh no, our pets are already attacking. Well, that was kind of a weird start, but I think it'll be fine. We are gonna do Mavuika's burst for like her attack boost thing, but not really gonna do anything else with her. And then we're gonna hop up with Chasca and see what happens. Oh wow! Oh my god! oh Jesus! Oh my god! He's under half. Okay, that made a massive difference. I mean, it's C6 Mavuika, I suppose, you know. I can't imagine Mavuika's burst did that much of the damage because we had basically no buffs at that point, you know? What about Xilonen and Mavuika? Actually, that's not even... I mean... No, it's less. I want to try it again. That's kind of hard to believe, honestly. Unfortunately, Chasca in general is a little RNG because of how the bullets load in and how they come out, you know, kind of dictates if you're going to be getting vaporizes more often or less often. And let's just hop up now. Oh, I was supposed to go back to Xilonen. I mean, we already used all the bursts, so may as well check it out. Let's see what her burst is doing as well, I guess. Honestly, pretty good damage. Maybe I should start using it. Mavuika's burst actually didn't do that much, I think. His HP wasn't like super... Okay, this one was definitely better. Still not as good as with Binny instead of Xilonen. We're gonna try her now at C2. I mean, she counts as the Electro requirement. She can also hold on to Scroll, which she currently is. Like Binny, she gives a pretty large attack buff that's only, you know, based on the movement of the character, which Chasca should be able to easily move around. You know, she can move while firing. But let's see here. I guess we're gonna be trying to like look out for some overloaded as well. So there's her Ian burst. Boom, Ian burst. And then we're just gonna hop up and start blasting away. Yeah, I mean, we're getting 5 bullets all the time now. That's just how it works. Yeah, it definitely... That might be actually... That could be the worst team we've tried today. And yeah, therein lies our problem. At C0, yes, it probably would have been the best team we could have tried, or at least one of them. Because of the C2 bullet does have AoE, I want to go to the one AoE sort of testing grounds I know of. My record is 45. I'm sure I can obliterate that with this team, especially now that we have some AoE. I mean, yeah, we definitely are going to break our record, but like not by as much as I had hoped. Apparently at C2, in an AoE situation, you're only supposed to load 2 bullets because you still get the extra C2 attack. So we are kind of trying that here, but I think that'll require a bit of practice. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. We got an 80, 81 there, I think. That's pretty good. I mean, sure, let's try dire mode Tenebrous here. Chasca is generally pretty good for this guy. I got a 97 second with my Verissa plunge team. So will be interesting. I don't really care. I've done this already, so can't really do much until we have everyone's burst, but we can already start filling up that bar just with Chasca's stuff here, so she's really good for that. Unfortunately, we don't have Farina's burst, which is super annoying. Can we get it really quick? No? I feel like we should have been able to have Farina's burst right there. Maybe we need to give her a little more energy. If we can kill him now, that... Oh no. Damn, her burst doesn't do that much, I think. That would have been a new record easily. I think it still will be, actually. We had a 97, now we have a 92. I think we can definitely get that down. Okay, this should be a decent, you know, few seconds here. We just got everyone's buff. Oh yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. Sub 80? Sub 80? Oh, god damn. Oh, okay. I think it's still sub 80. Ah, just 80 exactly. I'm happy with that, honestly. But all right, I think that's a good place to end it for now. I know we didn't check out that many teams, more of just like alterations on the vaporized teams, but this video has gotten so messy and all over the place now, I don't just want to have like a team section. I was really surprised by the damage increase from C1 to C2, honestly. It was so much it at least felt so much bigger than C0 to C1. I assume that's mostly in thanks to the extra 400% attack, you know, every shot. But yeah, Chasca, I actually like her playstyle. She's one of the simplest characters to play, but definitely one of the most complicated ones when you get down to the nitty gritty with all of like her internal cooldown and the randomness of her bullets. So mechanically, she's a very interesting character. Gameplay wise, she's very simple. And I think that's totally fine in a character. Sometimes I just want to hold left click and watch a big burst of damage happen and the boss's, you know, HP bar goes away. Chasca stands on things to make herself appear taller. Anyway, if you have any thoughts on the video, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. Dropping a like or subscribing if you enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.